The sleazy-looking fat man is actually the young sect master of the IN sect. Just now, the hooligans formed the IN kill trap formation and trapped Carson and the others in it. At the same time, a piercing and strange laughter came from the cave. If you want to see me, you have to pass through this test. I saw Carson surrounded by dozens of hooligans in the formation. Kyson shouted coldly. He instantly flashed to Carson's side and intercepted their combined attack. But Kyson had no ability to fight back. Carson signaled him to step back. Because this formation has the power of unity in numbers, enough to withstand the Grandmaster's attack. Kyson felt ashamed and blamed himself for not being proficient in martial arts. Carson did not blame him. It's just that his experience is insufficient to see the depth of this formation. Carson suddenly extended a fist. Countless flashes of lightning wound around it. He then fiercely smashed his fist towards the ground. It was the heavenly Xian divine, this third form suppressing the universe. The powerful force was like a huge mountain descending from the sky, shattering the entire ground beneath Carson's feet. The formation was instantly shattered, and all the hooligans turned into ashes. The Ying family brothers looked at this scene in shock. Their bodies couldn't stop trembling. What kind of power is this? Is this still a human? Lucia was also astonished and couldn't close her mouth. Carson's strength is simply unimaginable. At this moment, a furious roar echoed in the cave. Young man, you killed someone from my IN sect. I will use everyone from your entire sect to avenge today's enmity. Carson's eyes flashed red at your words. This is enough for me to destroy your IN spirit sect in one fell swoop. The biggest regret of past life Carson is the tragic fate of family and friends. The biggest wish of reborn Carson this time is to protect family and friends well, and make up for the regrets of past life. Kyson and Lucia both noticed that Carson is really angry this time. The group quickly entered the cave. At the end of the cave, a fat man was sitting on a stone stool, laughing heartily. This person is the IN sect young sect master. Fatty looked disdainful. He didn't take Carson seriously at all. Lucia knew she was to be sent to the fat man to be the cauldron, a wave of disgust rising in her heart as Carson said lightly, "Do you think you can kill me with the dark chi here?" Fatty paused. "You can actually distinguish the dark chi. Who exactly are you, kid?" "You don't need to know. I'm asking you. Did you plant the demonic seed on Lucia?" Fatty looked confused. Carson must have confirmed that this fat man didn't know either. In that case, Carson directly summoned the heaven-slashing sword, which shot out fiercely. However, Fatty blocked it with his arm. What surprised Carson is, his severed arm is growing back at a speed visible to the naked eye. Could it be the Tao body? But upon closer scrutiny, it turns out not to be the Tao body. Fatty began to arrogantly mock Carson. Carson was a little skeptical. The heaven-slashing sword howled once again. However, the sword was stopped by his dark chi. What kind of dark chi could resist the heaven-slashing sword? Carson pointed out with one finger, and the heaven-slashing sword whistled out again. It pierced through the stone wall behind Fatty. Lucia saw the situation in the stone wall, and immediately exclaimed in surprise. And there is the source of dark chi. It is actually a mass grave, a military camp at that. Fatty revealed a crazy smirk. Yes. Only such persistent and unyielding iron-blooded warriors can release so much dark chi after death. Lucia once heard of this army of 10,000. Originally headed for the front lines, they mysteriously disappeared. It turns out they were harmed by a great villain. Fatty, who has not repented, says these people are useless alive, and can only fulfill him by dying. At this moment, Carson's eyes were filled with strong killing intent. Just saw Fatty take a deep breath. His body began to swell into a small giant. Boasting shamelessly, he said that as long as he had these dark chi, he would be an invincible existence. How dare you claim to be invincible? You are nothing but an ant compared to me. True Fire of Samadhi Formation. Activate the jade pendant containing True Fire of Samadhi Formation. Burst out a scorching golden light. A tongue of fire appeared out of nowhere, instantly igniting Fatty's whole body. And this fat man was still mocking Carson for such childish tactics. Soon his laughter turned into screams, because these flames could hurt him despite his dark chi. And the fire cannot be extinguished. Fatty finally got scared. He kept begging Carson for mercy. Carson snorted coldly. See which of those heroic spirits will spare you. Fatty was ultimately burnt to ashes by the true fire of Samadhi. But at the place where he turned into ashes, a pitch-black piece of wood was left behind. Surprisingly, it was an innate spirit wood. Carson was delighted. This is the material for refining top-grade pills and ritual implements. With it, Carson can cultivate the wood elemental body of the primordial immortal body. At this moment, a footstep sounded from behind the crowd. A middle-aged man with an elegant appearance appeared in front of me. Leave my cauldron with you to stay or go as you please. You are the sect leader of Ian's spirit sect, right? The demonic seed in my friend's body was planted by you. It would be an honor for her to be my cauldron and witness me achieve great Tao. So, if I were to kill you, it would also be your honor. Upon hearing this, the Ian spirit sect leader burst into laughter. Now that my jade nurturing technique has cultivated to the realm of Yin and Yang harmony, which is the transformation realm grandmaster pinnacle in your terms, once I absorb the demonic seed in her body, I will be able to become the first divine realm in 100 years. Do you really think you can kill me? I will just have to put in a little more effort. There is nothing I cannot kill. Carson had just finished speaking when the Ian spirit sect leader flashed towards him. With one palm, he struck out towards him, causing Kyson to turn pale with shock. Even with his cultivation achievement, he couldn't see clearly the opponent's movements. It shows how terrifying the cultivation achievement of this person is. Carson's expression was indifferent. He raised his fist. He punched and sent the Ian spirit sect leader flying. The Ian spirit sect leader was shocked. What exactly is your background? Carson coldly snorted. The dead don't need to know. He then leaped up. He executed the heavenly Xian divine fist first form, mountain-splitting strike. The Ian spirit sect leader also used the Ian evil body guard and the heaven intercepting hand at the same time. The fists and palms collided, but they fought evenly matched. Carson didn't expect he could survive like this. It might be a good opportunity for him to hone his skills. Ian spirit sect leader shouted angrily. I won't kill you today, but I vow to never be at peace until I do. Suddenly, a cold and violent aura burst out from his body. This move is his ultimate skill, Frozen World. In the blink of an eye, Carson and his companions were all frozen by a layer of ice. Kyson unleashed a mountain-splitting strike, but still couldn't stop the spread of the ice. Ian spirit sect leader let out a mocking laugh. You are strong, but not enough to contend with my spell, Carson said disdainfully. How dare you claim otherwise? Let me show you what a real frozen world looks like. With both hands forming seals, Carson unleashed the true water control technique in the realm of cultivation. The ice that originally surrounded Carson and others melted quickly. Then the ice rolled rapidly towards Ian spirit sect leader, and the cold far exceeded him. Ian spirit sect leader was heavily impacted. He could not accept this fact. Suddenly, he pulled out a fist-sized glass bead from his body. Inside, 5 different colored flames were spinning and flickering. Carson sensed that this pearl was very dangerous. It posed a threat to him. He quickly shouted loudly behind him. Not good! Run fast! However, it was too late. The Ian spirit sect leader had already crushed the pearl, and 5 destructive auras instantly overflowed. In an instant, an explosion occurred, causing the entire mountain to continuously crack and collapse. While in the distance, the young sect master of the spirit sect was watching all of this unfold. Shortly after, he revealed a sinister smile. From now on, the Ian spirit sect will be under my control. The path for this spirit sect young sect master has become narrow. He dared to kidnap Carson's woman. Just now, Ian spirit sect was completely destroyed. A palm suddenly pushed aside the rubble above. Kyson slowly crawled out. He saw Carson and Lucia lying on the ground. He hurried over to ask how they were. The two brothers from the Ng family on the other side have already been killed. Carson said Lucia just fainted. He asked Kyson to quickly find a safe cave to protect him. He needs to immediately go into seclusion for healing. Half a month later, Carson is still meditating for recovery. Lucia nervously asked Kyson when he would wake up. Kyson shook his head. After all, he had never seen Carson injured so severely before. At the same time, inside a villa on the outskirts of Feng County, Spirit Sect Young Sect Master is smiling lecherously at the beauty in front of him. The ones being bound in front are Callie and Olivia. The scene returned to the cave. Carson's voice sounded. Kyson, how many days have passed? It has been half a month. Thanks to Crimson Fruit and innate Spirit Wood, Carson not only recovered from his injuries in a short time, but also made a breakthrough in his cultivation achievement. Suddenly, a sound of shattered jade rang in his mind. Carson's eyes were filled with intense killing intent, because Olivia was in trouble. You take Lucia back. I have urgent matters to attend to, Carson said as his voice fell. He disappeared in front of the two before they could react. The broken one was the jade pendant Carson gave to Olivia just now. The young sect master in the room looked at Olivia in surprise. I didn't expect you, an ordinary person, to possess such a high-level amulet talisman. Olivia looked at the young sect master in horror. It's no wonder Carson had repeatedly reminded her to carry it with her at all times. She was able to withstand this thug for almost half an hour. The young sect master gave a wicked smile. Now let's see who else can come and save you. As soon as he finished speaking, Callie lifted her jade leg and swung it over. The young sect master easily caught her leg and chuckled. Little beauty, don't be so impatient. One by one, right at this moment, a piercing sound suddenly descended from the sky. A golden light forced the young sect master back. The young sect master was furious. Who was it? Daring to sneak attack me, Grandpa. At the moment when Carson's figure broke through the door, young sect master's face was instantly filled with horror. Carson glanced at tearful Olivia and angry Callie, his killing intent soaring instantly. I want to completely erase you from this world. His cold voice contained endless anger. Young sect master looked disdainful. Hero saving the beauty? He was swiftly killed by a sword right after saying that. Carson then walked up to Olivia with a guilty look on his face. I'm sorry for causing you trouble, he said. Olivia suddenly hugged Carson tightly, crying uncontrollably. Callie's stunning face revealed a hint of a smile. Her eyes were slightly teary. In her heart, there was a sense of relief as if she had survived a disaster. Carson said at this time, Callie, don't be sad. Let me take revenge for you. Fiancé Callie finally became Carson's apprentice. Kyson transformed and became senior brother just as Carson was about to go to extermination of a family. I only saw the golden light flash of the heaven-slashing sword. The hooligan didn't even have a chance to speak. He was instantly killed and turned into trash. The hooligans from the spirit sect were like ants blocking Carson's path. Even a few reckless individuals dared to taunt him. Carson coldly said, You are too noisy. This time, he directly used the heavenly Xian third form suppressing the universe. He punched and instantly killed everyone, reducing the entire sect to ruins. Callie and Olivia looked horrified. Everything in front of them had completely overturned their understanding. Carson appeared before their eyes like a god of death. Later, Carson took everyone back to her home. Upon entering the door, Serenity threw herself onto Callie and cried loudly, blaming herself for not protecting her well. Dad Carson and Mom were very curious how he saved them. Carson coldly said, Those people are all dead. Mom asked him who killed them. Carson answered that it was him. He only regrets not killing more. If he kills more, no one would dare to touch Carson's family and friends. He just wants everyone to know what the consequences will be if they touch his family and friends. Carson's intense killing intent suddenly frightened his father and mom. Carson only then realized that he had been too impulsive just now. He hastily passed the blame to Kaisen, saying that it was all Kaisen's ability and way of doing things that led him to act like this. Kaisen blushed and sneezed. Then Carson gave the 3 jade pendants he had made to his parents and Olivia, reminding them again to wear them close to their bodies. Bruno seems unconvinced. Caroline scolded you to just take it if she tells you to. Where all these nonsense come from? Scaring him into immediately put it on. Carson quickly returned to Chai Sang. This time, Callie knelt in front of Carson and begged to become his disciple. And after the incident with the young sect master, Carson's heart also softened somewhat. So he agreed to accept her. And he told her that Kaisen is her senior brother from today onwards. Callie's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. "Thank you, master," she said. Then she turned to Kaisen and bowed, saying, "Nice to meet you, senior brother Kaisen." Kaisen quickly returned the gesture, saying, "No need to be polite, junior sister. I dare not be presumptuous because junior sister might become a madam master one day." After the 3 of them left, Carson began to contemplate which technique to teach Callie. Callie is actually the Heavenly Phoenix Hidden Pulse. Carson has really hit the jackpot. Just now, Carson taught Callie the 7-rank ascension to immortality technique from the Yaochi Sacred Land. In just 3 days, she reached Inner Realm Minor Mastery. Carson was surprised by this cultivation speed. However, such abnormally fast progress is certainly suspicious. Carson suddenly pointed a finger at her forehead. A huge shadow of a phoenix spreading its wings appeared behind Callie. Serenity was startled and quickly asked, "What is this?" Carson suddenly realized and said, "So that's it. I never thought she was the Heavenly Phoenix Hidden Pulse." "What is the Heavenly Phoenix Hidden Pulse? Is Miss in danger?" Serenity asked a series of questions. Carson shook his head and told Serenity that it's an excellent cultivate physique. Carson didn't explain further. Anyway, even if he explained, she wouldn't understand. He planned to leave the earth and take her on the true path of cultivation. The next day, the school anniversary celebration had already begun. Grayson reached out to greet Carson and asked him to come over quickly to sit down. At this moment, Daisy, dressed in ancient costume, is performing on stage, her beauty breathtaking. A charming glance from her. This made a group of classmates stare with their mouths wide enough to fit in 5 eggs. Grayson was also fascinated. Only Carson smiled faintly. Carson excused himself to the restroom at this time. In fact, it was to avoid trouble, because she must have a lot of questions to consult him about last time's killing of the golden scale crocodile. Daisy looked up and saw him. She lifted her skirt and ran towards Carson. She hugged Carson directly, shouting that she thought she would never see him again. The whole place erupted immediately, Carson said with a smile. "Am I not standing here just fine?" Daisy has just left Carson's embrace. "Why can't I reach you on your phone?" Carson said he remembered her number and would add her as a friend. Daisy looks expectant. "Okay, then I'll wait for your message." After the school anniversary, it was already evening. Carson suddenly stopped in his tracks, not even looking back, and asked, "Why are you following me?" It turned out to be Anna, who had been following behind him. She always has something negative to say. "I don't know how you managed to deceive Daisy. You don't deserve her. Stay away from her," she said as soon as she spoke. Carson looked at her and said lightly, "Is that so? Then tell me, where do I fall short of deserving her?" Anna sneered disdainfully. "I know you are very capable and well-connected. You might even take over your mother's company in the future. But even so, you are not good enough for Daisy." Carson laughed heartily. "Anna, you are so foolish. The social status and background you care about are worthless in my eyes. The wealth and status you see before you are simply like garbage to me. Stop using your shallow gaze to measure me." Do you think immortals' values can be the same as an immortal's? It's extremely ridiculous. He didn't even give Anna a chance to speak. Carson dropped these words and turned to leave. He no longer pays attention to this arrogant woman. Anna still looks down on Carson in her heart. You have to become an immortal. One day you will regret it. This man is really stubborn. How dare he point a gun at the dignified immortal sovereign? Just a moment ago, Carson arrived at the Vast World Hotel to attend the charity auction organized by the Kim family. Kinsley said there would be a ritual implements at the event. Carson said he would leave after viewing the ritual implements, and that's when it happened. Henry walked in with a group of beauties. Clara immediately saw Carson. Henry also noticed Carson. He instantly felt very unhappy. How can this country bumpkin show up in such a classy place? At that moment, Daisy walked over and greeted Clara and the others. When she saw Carson, she looked pleasantly surprised and immediately went over to ask him why he was also here. Carson said he came to see something and asked Daisy if she wanted to join him. Suddenly, a man with a dark expression on his face was staring at Carson. From Clara, I learned that this man is named Frederick, and he is a member of a top Special Forces unit. He is currently back home visiting relatives, and he has been pursuing Daisy. He quickly stood in front of Carson and the other person. Who are you? Amelia immediately went to tell on him. He is Carson, who made advances towards Daisy at the school anniversary celebration. Frederick immediately yelled at Carson. Who do you think you are? How dare you make a move on my woman? Who gave you the courage? Daisy's face turned red with anger. Frederick, I warn you not to mess around. When did I become yours? Do you have any shame? Carson directly ignored this jumping clown. Daisy, let's go over there. The dog barking here is too noisy. Frederick sneered coldly. Loser, are you only good at hiding behind women? Carson showed a hint of disdainful smile, laughing to death. Not even a woman willing to protect you. It shows that you're not even as good as a loser. Frederick was completely provoked. He raised his fist and smashed it towards Carson. There was a surge of killing intent in Carson's eyes. Roll. Frederick was suddenly struck as if by lightning, and his whole body froze abruptly. Because just now a wave of extreme danger alerted him. If he acted, he would die. Seeing Carson reaching out to pull Daisy away, Frederick, who is stubborn, directly pulled out a gun and aimed at Carson. The scene immediately exploded. He seems to be trying to escalate the situation. Are you crazy, Frederick? Frederick still doesn't put down the gun. I just want to see if he has any bullets left. Carson didn't say anything, but if he dares to shoot, not only will he miss Carson, but he will also be killed by Carson on the spot. At this moment, Kinsley shouts, Frederick puts the gun away. Then get out of here. Frederick is stunned. They are not as powerful as the Kim family, so he doesn't dare to offend Kinsley. Seeing Frederick hesitating, Kinsley directly issued a tough statement. If anyone dares to point a gun at others again, they will directly go to war with ye family. Everyone was extremely shocked, all speculating about Carson's identity. Frederick was forced to yield, but still threatened that Carson would not dare to pester Daisy again. He must have made him wish he were dead. Carson has developed immunity to such empty threats. On the side, Anna, who was watching the drama unfold, began strategizing for herself. She believed that Carson relied on the Kim family, and once they turned their backs on him, he would be worthless. Kinsley cautiously walked up to Carson and invited him to take a seat in the VIP box. Carson coldly replied, Don't play tricks in front of me in the future. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Kinsley immediately bowed and apologized. It turned out that Carson had already seen that she was deliberately protecting Frederick. Just as Carson and Daisy entered the venue, a powerful voice sounded. Daisy, come here to Daddy. This is the forbidden land of the immortal Eye of Universe, as legend has it in the 9-tripod ceiling coffin. Just now, the one called Daisy is actually her father, Hank. Hank is the top underworld boss in Jiangnan. Even Kinsley has to show him respect. Daisy called out, "Dad?" Then she introduced Carson shyly. Hank appreciates Carson's personality, but he says Carson is too arrogant. Daisy slightly apologetically explained to Carson that her father is actually very kind. Carson just smiled and didn't mind letting her pass. He looked at the back of this father-daughter pair. Carson's face darkened. He said, "I am arrogant? If it weren't for Daisy, you wouldn't even have the right to let me say hello." The auction has started. The auctioneer, please bring up the first auction item. This is said to be an item used by an ancient peerless immortal maiden. Carson suddenly sensed a long-lost familiar aura. It emanated directly from this handkerchief. Carson froze on the spot because this handkerchief belonged to junior sister Lainey. It still retained the aura of the top technique of the mystical Tao sect, the heavenly Xian Tao technique. The starting price of this item is 100,000. Each bid must not be less than 10,000. When the auctioneer finished speaking, the bidding price immediately rose to 200,000. However, Carson made a move and offered 10 million. The scene was completely boiling. Especially Henry and others showed an expression of disbelief. Carson had a blank expression, but he was extremely excited inside. The relic left by the junior sister was an invaluable treasure to him. It was simply immeasurable by money. Such an outrageous price hike. No fool would compete with Carson now. The auctioneer finally announced that this immortal maiden handkerchief belongs to Carson. Carson returned home as soon as he obtained Lainey's handkerchief. He stared at this handkerchief lost in thought. However, he found that this handkerchief had at least 1,000 years of history. Could it be that junior sister has been reborn in ancient times? His thoughts couldn't help but sink into the memories of when little junior sister had just entered the forbidden land of the immortal eye of the universe. In the dim and profound universe, a huge bronze stone coffin floated silently. 9 thick black chains wrapped around the bronze stone coffin, each connected to a 4-footed large tripod at the top of the chains. Carson and junior sister Lainey were shocked beyond measure by this scene. Suddenly, a thunderous boom like that of a bronze bell resonated from above the bronze stone coffin. Then a huge palm reached out from the coffin, pressing down on them with endless pressure. At the critical moment, junior sister Lainey suddenly pushed Carson away and stood in front of him. Her unparalleled beauty was marred by 2 tears sliding down her face. In her eyes, there was an endless sense of reluctance and love. I only saw junior sister's figure evaporate instantly like air. She didn't leave a trace at all. Carson could only watch junior sister disappear into nothingness before his eyes. Memories came to a halt as Carson pondered over the many mysteries surrounding the eye of the universe. However, with his cultivation achievement still low, thinking about these things was of no use now. He could only quickly improve his strength to explore the clues left by junior sister. Suddenly his phone rang. It was Olivia calling. The martial artists from the One family have been causing trouble at the Blue Whale Hotel under MH Company. She wants Carson to ask Kyson to come over and help drive them away. Carson said he would be there soon and hung up the phone. A strong killing intent surged in Carson's eyes. Since the One family was seeking death, he didn't mind sending them on their way. The dragon has a reverse scale, and anyone who touches it will die. Not to mention this time, they threatened Carson's mother. This is Caroline's Blue Whale Hotel. He dragged his feet on the dining table without any shame. He's Jake, the troublemaking hooligan. Johnny, the son of the wealthiest person in Giannia City, Carl, sat with a smirk on his face, looking as if he was enjoying the show. The head chef explained that there was absolutely no issue with hygiene here. Caroline, of course, knew there was no problem. These people were clearly sent by the One family to cause trouble. When Carson entered and saw this scene, he coldly said, "It seems that the last time was at the Giannia City Summit. I was too kind to you." Seeing my son coming, Caroline finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, when she heard Carson saying that he was going to handle it himself this time, Caroline's heart rose to her throat again. Jake looked at Carson with a disdainful expression. "Just relying on you. Don't worry, I promise to make sure you have no way back. I heard before I arrived that you are very arrogant. Today I will discipline you on behalf of your parents." After saying that, his figure flashed, and he punched towards Carson. Carson waited for Jake to attack. He casually waved his hand and slapped him across the face. He directly sent him flying out. Jake scrambled to his feet, revealing a look of shock on his face. "You are a Transformation Realm Grandmaster." Several hooligans immediately helped him up. Jake, knowing he was no match, prepared to retreat. But before leaving, he habitually threatened, "Carson, I'll remember this today." Carson couldn't let the talkative antagonist leave. In a flash, he grabbed the villain by the neck and lifted him up. Johnny immediately threatened Carson by saying, "If you dare to hurt him, the Nangong family will have reason to crush MH Company." Carson replied nonchalantly, "Are you threatening me?" Johnny just said, "It's a fact." Jake started provoking Carson without holding back. He made Carson obediently release him and kowtow to apologize. Johnny followed along on the side, urging Carson to quickly let him go. Carson saw through Johnny's intentions at a glance. He just wanted to provoke him into killing Jake, but it didn't matter. Carson went along with his acting. With a crisp sound, Jake's neck was twisted. Seeing Carson about to kill him, Johnny brought up the rule of the martial arts world. Those practicing martial arts cannot kill those in the mortal world. Rest assured, I won't kill you. But since you're here, you'll have to pay a price before leaving. Carson pointed with one finger after speaking. Two beams of spiritual energy pierced through his knee. Johnny let out a scream. Carson said coldly from a high vantage point, "Deliver a message to Carl for me. If there is another time, I will wipe out the entire one family after these people leave." Caroline looked at Carson with a complex expression because her own son really committed murder. Carson knew what they were thinking. He explained how to deal with these people. It's necessary to use tough measures to suppress them. He is willing to be ruthless for the sake of his family and friends. Even if he has to make enemies with the whole world, he doesn't care at all. Caroline's worries were completely eradicated. She took a step forward and embraced Carson in her arms just like when they were children. On the other side, in the mansion of the richest person, Carl, Johnny lay on the sickbed. Several private doctors were bustling back and forth. Carl asked in a gloomy tone if his son's leg could still recover. A doctor shook his head and said Johnny's knee was completely shattered. He will have to live the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Johnny did not give up because of this. Instead, he is waiting for the Nangong family to deal with Carson. Carl is still gritting his teeth with anger. He swears that he will make Carson pay blood for blood.